Hey friends, it's Frank. Before we start today's episode, I just wanted to say a few words as myself. No dark narrator, just you and me. This episode is a re-release from our first season of Lurkers, and we're bringing it back in remembrance of Mackenzie Lueck. Because June 17th isn't just a date in the timeline of this case. It's the day everything changed for her family, her friends, and everyone who loved her. And here's the thing with true crime. It can be easy sometimes for these stories to become episodes, headlines, and something we listen to and then move on from. And quite honestly, Mackenzie was a daughter too. A friend, a student, a young woman with a full life in front of her, and that can be easy to forget. So, today we just want to take a moment and remember her with care. And as a quick little update, we're already working on Season 3 of Lurkers, and all I can say is that it gets darker and harder to believe. Yes, this season continues exploring trust, identity, manipulation, and the way danger can move from a screen into someone's real life. But it also takes us into more international cases, different cultures, and stories that cross borders, platforms, and identities. In ways that you're going to think that I'm fictionalizing or bringing you the plots of new movies. Friends, I'm very grateful to keep building this show with you and to keep telling these stories with care. And if you're hearing Mackenzie's story for the first time, thank you for being here with us. This is Mackenzie Lueck's story.
Lurkers explores the dark side of the online world. It contains adult themes and disturbing content for mature audiences only.
The night of June 17, 2019 was calm. Lyft driver Michael Canada still remembers the heavy silence of that ride. It was 2:42 a.m. and the Salt Lake City airport had mostly emptied out. His passenger, a young woman in black leggings and a gray hoodie. 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck had just flown in from the west coast of the United States. She said she wasn't going home. Instead, she gave him an address, Hatch Park, in the suburb of North Salt Lake. Canada followed the GPS through dim residential streets. When they pulled up, he saw a dark hatchback. He thought it might have been a Subaru. He helped her transfer her suitcase into the trunk, and he noticed someone waiting in the front seat. He thought he heard a woman's voice. He assumed it was a friend. So trying to ease the awkwardness, Mackenzie gave a half smile, and according to Canada, she said, quote, "Not as strange as where you're dropping me off in the middle of a park." She stepped away from the lift toward the other car. Canada watched her walk off. Then he drove away. He didn't know it yet, but that was the last time anyone would see her alive. In a world where connection is effortless, every click feels safe. But online, trust can be deceiving. This is Lurkers, true stories of trust, desire, and how technology, if unchecked, can turn it all against us. Earlier that same night, before the quiet park, before the Lyft ride, Mackenzie Lueck had just returned to Salt Lake City from Los Angeles. She had traveled to attend her grandmother's funeral. It was a loss that weighed deeply. Grief lingers in strange ways, and for Mackenzie, it didn't end at baggage claim, because instead of going home, she opened her phone and sent a message. Her final text read, "I'm here. We'll be outside soon. That was at 2:01 a.m. The next morning, Mackenzie didn't show up for work. Her phone stayed silent. No texts, no calls, no signs of activity. Her landlord and roommate confirmed she had not been seen since returning from California. Police entered her apartment. Everything looked normal. Her car was parked outside, her bed untouched. Her father, Greg Lueck, began calling repeatedly. When she didn't answer, he grew concerned, then panicked. He contacted Salt Lake City Police and requested a wellness check. As reported by ABC News, he told them, quote, "She wouldn't just disappear. She's close to her family. She's always in touch." End quote. As hours turned into days, the silence began to scream. As investigators followed Mackenzie's digital footprint, something strange emerged. There was a $300 transfer sent shortly before she vanished, and Mackenzie had created a profile on Seeking Arrangement, a website known for sugar dating relationships. Her digital trail was short, but clear, and it pointed toward a specific user, someone she had messaged, someone she had arranged to meet. Detectives pulled phone records and location data. The GPS told a chilling truth. This person's phone had pinged at Hatch Park at the exact time Mackenzie was dropped off. Surveillance footage from the airport and cell phone tower triangulation backed it up. So, police knocked on his door. According to Deseret News and KSL, he answered politely, calm, friendly even. He said he'd only messaged her a few times. Nothing serious, just chatting. But detectives weren't convinced. The GPS data contradicted him, and now a new detail surfaced. Investigators flagged possible camera activity gaps at his home that night. Then came a tip from a neighbor. She reported a large fire in his backyard days after Mackenzie went missing. Thick smoke, a smell she described as unforgettable. She said, as reported by the Salt Lake Tribune, quote, "The smell was rancid. I knew something was wrong." End quote. And that was enough for a search warrant. With mounting digital evidence, a suspicious timeline, and a neighbor's testimony, police now had a name. The man Mackenzie had gone to meet at Hatch Park was 31-year-old Ayoola Ajayi. Behind the polite facade and tech startup resume, Ayoola Ajayi was hiding something. In his backyard, investigators uncovered a fresh patch of disturbed soil, blackened debris, and the unmistakable stench of something burned. They sifted through the ashes. According to ABC News, they found charred human tissue. Forensic tests confirmed the unthinkable. The DNA matched Mackenzie Lueck. But the horror didn't end there. Inside Ajayi's home, police found signs of a meticulously attempted cleanup. A mattress had been cut apart. Sections of a carpet had been ripped out. There were signs of scrubbing and attempts to sanitize the scene. According to court filings reported by the Salt Lake Tribune, investigators alleged that Ajayi had restrained Mackenzie with a belt, choked her, and then strangled her to death before trying to destroy all traces of the crime. Even more chilling, months before the murder, Ajayi had approached a contractor named Brian Wolf with a very particular request. As reported by Deseret News, he asked Wolf to build a soundproof room in his basement, complete with hooks on the walls and a fingerprint-activated deadbolt. Wolf, the contractor, told reporters, "I thought it was creepy, but I didn't think much of it at the time." Then came another twist. After burning her body in the backyard, Ajayi had moved the remains again, this time to Logan Canyon, more than 80 miles away. It was there, in a remote, shallow grave, that police recovered what remained of Mackenzie Lueck. On June 28, 2019, 10 days after she vanished, Ayoola Ajayi was arrested and charged with aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and desecration of a human body. Ajayi's arrest sent shockwaves through the community, and for Mackenzie's family, it was the first step toward answers. But it would be over a year until justice reached the courtroom. On October 7, 2020, Ajayi stood before a judge. The courtroom was quiet. What came next stunned everyone. During the plea hearing, his attorney admitted he had planned the murder before even meeting Mackenzie in person. Prosecutors told the court that on the night of June 17, he turned off his home's security cameras shortly before bringing Mackenzie inside, one of several deliberate steps showing premeditation. He bound Mackenzie's wrists with zip ties and rope and began choking her with his hands. Even as she fought, he kept going. Then, he used a belt to strangle her until she was still. Afterward, he burned her body in his backyard. Yes, agreed. You're probably thinking we're all better off with nosy neighbors than with clueless and unintuitive contractors. Ajayi later moved her remains to Logan Canyon. Prosecutors called it murder for murder's sake. He wasn't driven by anger or impulse. He simply wanted to know what it felt like to kill. On October 23, 2020, Ajayi formally pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and desecration of a body. In exchange for avoiding the death penalty, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In the courtroom, her parents Greg and Diana Lewick sat shoulder to shoulder. Greg rose and faced the man who had taken their daughter. His voice was low, controlled, but trembling. As reported by ABC News, he said, quote, "You took away our daughter, and you hurt us deeply. But I want you to know, we forgive you." End quote. Ajayi's response? A hushed apology. It didn't even fill the silence. In the days that followed, Mackenzie's sorority sisters from Alpha Chi Omega held a candlelight vigil. They remembered her kindness, her bright smile, her loyalty, a friend who listened, who showed up, who believed in others, and her story left an imprint beyond her circle. Salt Lake City police issued public safety alerts. Universities across Utah began hosting forums about the risks of online interaction. Parents, students, and communities talked about what they hadn't before. And every year in June, her friends still post her photo. They light candles. They say her name. Mackenzie Lewick wasn't reckless. She was human. She acted from the same place we all do, through the lens of her own world. She searched, like so many of us, to fill a void, to find meaning in others, to believe more in what we hope is true instead of what might be. Before you judge, or make yourself the exception, like we all tend to do, pause, because we all do this, no matter how much we believe we don't. We all have strengths and blind spots. Her story is not just one of tragedy, it's a memory, a mirror, and a warning. Social media isn't good or bad. It's a tool, one that in the right hands connects and empowers, but in the wrong hands or used with the wrong intent, it becomes a weapon. So before you think, this couldn't happen to me, or my son, or my daughter, remember, predators don't need to break into your home. They can become whoever they want to be with a click of a button. They can simply log in and see your deepest wants, your quietest needs, and turn them into vulnerabilities. Remember Mackenzie, stay aware, stay present, stay safe. This episode of Lurkers was produced and written by me, Frank Battiston. Research and story development by Julia Lawrence, and music and sound effects by Daniel Erdenivia. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it with someone you care about, and leave a review or rating to help others discover the show. And don't forget to follow Lurkers on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you never miss an episode. Thank you for listening.